Right, I'm back. It's been a while, hasn't it? Today's project is going to be about fixing this bath and shower because it just doesn't want to drain very fast. You can see this should be draining a lot quicker, but it just takes forever. And this has been a recurring issue. It's getting really annoying because I keep having to clear the drains, but it's not actually the drains that are clogged that is the underlying issue. The underlying issue is a bit more complicated than that. So let me show you. Actual problem we have is the fact that this pipe is flowing uphill, which generally water doesn't like flying uphill, if you know what I mean. And it's been an issue because of the way the previous connection was done down here, and apologies for the mess. The plumbing in this house is an absolute mess that we've inherited, so I've just been trying to fix things. So I need to find a way to basically get this pipe to flow downhill, but I have to cut it off here. I have to cut it further down here, which is not easy. So I need to first give myself some access and then proceed to cutting and re-establishing the correct fall for the pipe. And in the process I'll also clean the U-bend or the trap, however you want to call it, because it's likely to be full of stuff as well, but you don't need to see that, so I'll just clean that out. The most important part is re-establishing the drop on this pipe and making sure that it has the correct fall. Okay, now we have access. So now I'm just going to go and cut the pipe and give myself a bit more space. The next part, we need a towel because this is going to leak. And I don't want the water to go down because that'll hit the drywall or the plasterboard underneath, and then you'll see it in the living room and that would suck. So if you're going to do this, make sure you have plenty of towels, so that especially because this is flowing downhill, there's going to be water in here. Right, let me tidy this up and then I'll bring you back. Right, clean this pipe a bit, pick up the rough edges. Okay, right, next step, let's put a connector on there, and that's one of these. It's got a little lip on the inside, it just goes on the pipe, gets glued on, and that allows me to connect the pipe to it. You need to use some cement. This is pretty universal in many different countries. It's the same in the US, it's the same in Germany, it's the same in Asian countries. So with this kind of pipe, with ABS pipe, you just use glue. Okay. generous amount on both sides, because you don't want this to leak and go into the ceiling and then get onto the drywall or plasterboard, or you know, you don't really want this in your ceiling, the drain water. What's that? Isn't it? And now the process starts of measuring out the new pipe. Right. Now I know how far I need to go and what lengths I need, because I want to make sure that there's a continuous drop towards that point. It's not perfect because that is a bit of a weird angle. There's not much I can do about that, it's just the way the pipe sits down there. Once again, I'm dealing with the decisions of other plumbers, not all of which were very good decisions. So yeah, I just have to make do with what I have. So as long as it doesn't matter how it looks, as long as it's watertight. So that's the most important thing, that it has the right fall and that it is watertight. Right, time to clean the trap. I still needed that in place as a reference surface, so but now I can actually take it off and clean it. It's not going to be pretty, so if you're a bit squeamish, look away now. It's actually not bad. There's not actually a lot of stuff in there, so not as bad as I thought it would be. So the primary issue is definitely the drop of the pipe. Okay. Right, when you put this back, you got to make sure that these O-rings are nice and clean and that there's no nicks in them. They need to be perfect, otherwise you will get leaks. So another O-ring in here, which I cleaned. Some backup rings. Go in here. Yeah, the pipe needs to be cleaned, so I've cleaned all of that earlier. So if you have any sand or grit in here, you will get slow leaks, and you don't want that. Otherwise you will find it in your ceiling later, which is not great. The other thing you don't want to do is you don't want to put any strain on these joints. You really want them to be a snug fit, but no without any mechanical stress on them, because that will just open up the joint a little bit and mean that you get leaks. So if you have to force it, you're doing something wrong, basically. So I'm gonna get this on here now, fiddle with it. It's gonna be a bit of a wrestling match. Just hand tight, that's it. Ooh. No, that didn't work. Hang on. That's what I meant with mechanical stress. That's not working. Right, so if I want to have a stronger O-ring that can seal the pipe better, so I'm going to use that to make sure that these two joints don't leak. Right, so I realized, a bit of an admittance of mistake here. I realized that this piece of pipe was too short to go in there. It kept on popping out. So that's precisely the kind of mechanical strain that should be avoided, which I mentioned. And I was making exactly that mistake, or about to make it anyways. So I couldn't really in good conscience continue with that. It just wouldn't be safe long term. It would probably pop out at some point and then I would get a massive leak. So I had to take that off. So I'll cut this again here, and I had a look what other elements of pipe I had available, and I still had a bit of pipe available. It doesn't look pretty, but it's going to do the job. So it's a continuous, it doesn't impede the flow in there. So this piece of pipe is longer, so it will put less strain on that, and then hopefully that'll sort the issue out, but that remains to be seen. So this whole system here is crooked as hell. If you would do this from scratch, you wouldn't do it like this, but again, unfortunately I have to deal with the existing pipe work, which makes all of this a lot more difficult. Okay, so let's see if I can get that glued on properly, and I'm gonna dry fit it and mark it so I get the right angle. And that actually pushes into the joint, which is perfect. You want it pushing in, so I don't know whether you can see this. If I let go, it automatically closes the joint. That's perfect. You want a bit of positive pressure on it so it keeps itself closed. So I'm going to mark this. Again, it is what it is. Just have to deal with it and make sure that there's a drop on there. And then the next question is, do we have a leak? And sometimes when you put these joints back together, you get leaks, and then you gotta wriggle the pipes a bit tight and then check them, etc., etc. So the best thing to do is to dry everything, so that if you do have a new leak or a leak, you can see it, and work on the assumption that there is a leak. So have a towel ready. If you don't have a leak, all the better, but if you do have one, and then the towel is in place. Alright, so Let's see if I did my job correctly or if I screwed up. And that's how it should be draining, really, really fast. Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly how it should drain. Don't appear to have any leaks, which is good. So that's a lot better than what it was before. So at least we now have a working drain. It was a bit of a faff, a lot of fiddling about, mistakes were made, but it's fixed now. Alright, on to the next one.